Hello and welcome back. In today's lecture, we're going to talk about the circular flow of the economy. Now, this is just a representation because just like we talked about in previous lectures, that economics has to be understood through models. Okay, models are nothing but representations of the economy, because instead of directly observing individually each and every phenomenon and commenting about it, in any social science or science, one likes to make generalizations. Okay, so if you want to, let's say, comment about something, you have to make a generalization, and in order to make a generalization you have to make a theory, and model is nothing, model or theories, just like we discussed in the previous lectures, same thing. So what is circular flow ultimately? Circular flow means it's a representation where there is a dichotomy made between two entities, one being households and another being firms. Now, what is the role of firms? Firms essentially meaning the producer or the supplier side. Okay, so firms produce, so right, firms produce or supply. When we hear about these terms later on in the economy, about the economy, there shouldn't be any confusion. Supply side or the producer side or the firm, it's one and the same thing. Okay, it's just these terms are interchangeable. They are used specifically for a specific purpose. We'll talk about it when we come to it, but essentially it's producers, it's suppliers, it's firms. Okay, so that's one side. Another one is households, that means consumers, but also suppliers of what? One, labor, that means you can supply labor. If you're a household, if you're an individual, what you can sell is your own labor, your own skill set. That's what you can sell. And they can sell factors of production. Now let's discuss a little bit about this, what factors of production are. Okay, whenever a business is started, okay, a business either provides good or a service. If it's a service industry, like let's say hospitals, daycare centers, schools, call centers, so on and so forth, what do you require? Well, you require, one, you require people, and two, you require something like you need a place, you need land, you need an office space, you need furniture, you need equipment, computers, so on and so forth. So what are these? These are the factors which go into producing that service. If it's a pizzeria selling pizzas, everything else remains the same. It's just that they are selling a tangible product. That means they are selling a good. So whenever we talk about production, we talk about both of these things as production. That means service, like hospitals, schools, so on and so forth, or a good, something like a building, a house, a table, a chair, computer, so on and so forth. All these, land, labor and capital. So these are the factors of production, generally signified as land, labor and capital. Okay, so one, it's a household. Two, there is a firm. What does firm do? Well, it produces and sells the goods and services. It manufactures either goods or services. And second, what does it consume? It hires or buys factors of production. Well, who sells factors of production? Households do. And now you must be getting the idea. Now you must probably have an idea why it is called the circular flow. Okay, so let's read out the definition. This diagram is a schematic representation of the organization of the economy. This is how hypothetically economy is organized, any economy. Decisions are made by the households and the firms. Households and the firms interact in the market for goods and services, where households are buyers and firms are sellers. Alright, and in the market for the factors of production. So here the definition actually distinguishes one, market for goods and services, and market for factors of production. Both of these are actually commodities. You can think of them as commodities, but here the dichotomy, the difference, the division is made between two markets. One market is the market for goods and services, and the market for factors of production. Now if you really think about it, a computer can be used for a personal purpose, or it can be used as a factor of production. So eventually we'll come to see that again, just like there wasn't like a massive difference between micro and macroeconomics, it's just for the namesake, it's just for a matter of nomenclature, we really dichotomize or differentiate these two markets, label them differently. So same idea, I mean, sugarcane, you can use it for personal consumption, or sugarcane can be used as a factor of production in a sugar factory. See, we can label markets differently because one is acting as a factor of production, another one is a consumption article. But still, it makes sense to actually divide it in two parts. So continuing with the definition, where firms are buyers and households are sellers, which factors of production market. The outer set of arrows, that means these ones, right, the outer ones, shows the flow of dollars or any kind of currency, and the inner set of arrows, I've picked it up from a textbook. So inner set of arrows shows the corresponding flows of goods and services. So this is how outer set of arrows is basically signifying how the money is flowing. Okay, how the money is flowing, and inner set is showing how the stuff is flowing. Clear enough? Now let's look at the actual representation. Here you have market for goods and services. What is happening in this market? Firms are selling and households are buying. Okay, so firms are selling and households are buying. When households are buying, households spend and firms collect. It's revenue for the firms. Alright, it's revenue for the firms. It's spending for the households. Markets for factors of production, inputs for production. Okay, who's selling here? Households are selling, and that is becoming an input for the production of either a good or a service. What are they giving in return? Well, they're giving either wages or rent or profit. Wages, to understand wages is simple. Rent, if somebody has supplied them with land or some kind of building or some kind of anything, premises, any sort of structure, okay, any equipment on rent, that will give you rent. And profit is then if households supply firms with some kind of capital. You buy shares of a company. What is shares of a company? Well, shares of a company essentially means some kind of investment in the company, okay, in the firm. So if you make some kind of investment in the firm, the returns, or you can call them dividends, are going to be your profit. That's a very general way of understanding what this term right here means. Okay, what this term right here means, profit. So again, households buy and consume goods and services. It's selling land, labor and capital in the Markets are factors of production. They get used by firms. Firms are using them. They're selling them in the market of goods and services. They're manufacturing something over here, and then they're selling those things over here. Households are basically buying these things. They're buying goods and services, and then they are spending that money. Here they're earning money. I know I'm actually coloring it way too much. It's not required. You can see the arrows. So let me just move the mouse. So they're getting wages, rent and profit, which essentially means money. That means they're getting some kind of income. Who's getting some kind of income? Well, households are getting some kind of income. They get the income, alright, and this income goes into spending. So this is a very primitive, very basic understanding of how things flow. Now this is very intuitive. Everyone knows this already. But this just goes on to show that actually firms and individuals both are an integral part of the economy, and there isn't really much difference. They're just playing different roles. That's all they're doing, and it can be very, very succinctly, very, very compactly represented by this circular flow. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for watching.